Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Maroon Devil Coaches Show with head coach Sherman Holt right here on the Maroon Devils Network. And, Coach, man, great win over Cherokee. We used to call it back in the day the Swain County Championship because both teams, of course, located here in Swain County. But just like you were saying, a real physical game. But the Maroon Devils running game, I thought, was really, really impressive and made the difference last Friday.
Yeah, we got started pretty good. Offensively up front, we did a real good job early, and Drew Cody did a real good job of finding the end zone. I think he scored all 4 of our first half touchdowns, and so it's just one of those things where we challenged them to start fast and not wait around and kind of ease into the game. Let's get it going quick. Let's get up. Let's go fast, and that was kind of what we did. Defensively, we let them kind of march down the field, which, that opening drive, the Sailor kid made a couple good throws. They had some good runs by him and by the Welch kid. And then down there on the goal line, we caused a fumble, recovered it in the end zone, for a touchback, and then it kind of was over from there. Just to be honest, we did really good in the first half of taking care of business, and so proud of our kids and the way they started that football game.
Coach, you look at some of the stats, and I know we had 3 guys, as you mentioned, Drew and Zeke, and we had Sawyer and Schuler, and I think we had 3 or 4 guys around 100 yards. So you're right. Drew had a huge game, about 140 yards running. Didn't have to throw much because our running game was really effective, especially with all 4 of those guys kind of sharing the load.
Yeah, that's one of those things where if we feel like we don't need to throw it, we're not going to. Why throw it when you can run it? But when we did throw it, we were very efficient. So I think we only had 5 or 6 pass attempts all night, and I think we completed 4 of them. So it was one of those things where if it's working, keep doing what's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so that's kind of what we did. Those guys up front did a real good job of, solidifying blocks and staying on blocks and just, doing what they should do to help our guys in the backfield, get out in space. Yeah,
and talking about defense, obviously, you did a good job shutting down a pretty physical Cherokee offense. As you mentioned, quarterback Sailor's a really good athlete, can make things happen, and our defense really stepped up and I think played an impressive ball game all night.
Yeah, the one thing that we challenged them at halftime, we go up 28-0, and we had 2 third downs with over 2 minutes left when we were on defense, and we let them get first downs, and so we only get it back with like 22 seconds left. And I went in there at halftime, and I think they thought I was going to pat them on the back a little bit, and I said if we could get off a field right there, we might could have added another touchdown. And people, they say, well, you're up 28-0. Why, but in close ball games, you might get off the field defensively, be able to kick a field goal or score late in the half to even get more momentum or something, So, but overall, defense played very well. Was a little disappointed in tackling at certain times. We give up a couple big plays, and if we would have tackled better, they wouldn't have got those plays, and so we kind of challenged them about the process of becoming champions. Even though we did a real good job and we won, and it was a big win for our kids and a good night, we're still not where we want to be at the end of the season, because we're still vying for that Smoky Mountain Conference championship. And so our kids, they took it well. Halftime, I wasn't satisfied, and I went in there and I made sure they knew we got to do this better if we want to become champions. Right. If you just want to be out here playing, then you can do those things. But if you want to become champions, you got to get off the field and give our offense another chance to score, whether it be a field goal to end the half or a touchdown. But, we're still satisfied with what they did. We're just not 100% satisfied. You can't settle for anything but your best. And so that was kind of the message we preached at halftime. That was the message we preached after the game. Just, and a lot of people would win 40-14 and be satisfied, but we still got more things to play for, and so we still got to continue to grow and step up that ladder, as each week progresses. And so, but we're happy with our kids. Their effort has been tremendous all year. Yeah, kids played extremely hard, and got some kids in that hadn't played a whole lot this year. Kobe Mashburn stepped up on defense, made some great plays at outside linebacker. And, I think we had 3 or 4 interceptions defensively, so taking the ball away is a big thing. Corey Stillwell had one down in the red zone.
Yep, that was big.
And that's one of those bend but don't break mentalities. It's like the first drive of the game. They drive it 60-some yards and get down to the 3. We make them fumble. They don't score. Later in the game in the third quarter when we had kind of come out flat or, we just didn't execute in the third quarter, I didn't think. And, they scored 2 touchdowns and to make it a 33-14 game. And so you're sitting there and it's like, all right, guys, it's time to get the snowball to quit rolling downhill and get it back up to the top of the mountain. And Corey Stillwell come up with a big play on defense on a tip ball, intercepted it. Offense went down and scored, made it 40-14, and then we kind of settled in again and did what we should have done. And, Evan Ball picked one off there at the end just to kind of solidify it. And so it's one of those things where there was plenty of good things and good takeaways, don't get me wrong. But, we're still going to challenge our kids to fix the things that we did wrong, correct the mistakes, because – that's what championship caliber football teams do. And right now we're in that championship push. And so, pleased with our effort, pleased with how well we responded after we didn't play good for a moment in that game to kind of say, what, we're going to shut the door right here on them and play our brand of ball. And that's what we did to finish the game. And so we're proud of that and, proud of our young kids that stepped up. At one point we had 2 freshmen up front playing on the offensive line.
Yeah.
And so that's big. Getting some game experience is always really big, especially down the road and going into the playoffs.
Oh, no doubt. Kind of like Coach is saying, we want our kids to give it our best and then some, our Swain High motto. Fans, stay tuned. We're going to come back and talk about this week's road game when we come back after we recognize these outstanding supporters right here on the Maroon Devils Network. Hi, everybody. Welcome back as we continue talking about Maroon Devil football. And, Coach, I want to get off the conference plan for just a minute and just say congratulations to you and 2 of our players who are going to be involved in the East-West, I like to call it All-Star game. But that's a big honor because here in the western North Carolina mountains, it seems like whether it be the Shrine Bowl or the East-West game, we don't get a lot of folks in those. So congratulations to you and Zeke and Big Skaggs up front for representing us in that game.
Yeah, that's huge for our kids, and it's a testament to, how good they are athletically, but also, in that process, a big thing that's evaluated is academics and just, wanting kids that will come in and work hard during that week of practice, because you don't get but about 4 days to get ready to go play that game. And so, big honor for not only them but our school and our community. And I'm excited about getting to participate in that game as well, just because that's a maybe once in a lifetime, once in a coaching career type deal. But glad and thankful for coaches around the state that nominated me and voted for me, and that's a big deal, and I appreciate that. And it's just a testament to our kids, our staff, in my career that has been a part of it to make sure we do the right things, and and we're coaching it the right way, because that's kind of how you get involved in that, but our kids, I'm just happy for Drew and Zeke that they get to be a part of that. And, I know they'll represent our school and our community and our county well. And, looking forward to being able to watch them play and compete is the biggest thing that I think I'm looking forward in that process.
Yeah, no doubt you're going to see some great athletes to join. Again, congratulations to you and Zeke Glaspie and Drew Skaggs. Just outstanding honors. Looking at the game this week, we're going to be on the road over at Rosman High School, and not being critical, but Rosman has struggled this year. They've got a couple of wins. They beat East Henderson, I think, in Copper Basin, but in the conference, it's been a tough road for them. And but again, you can't overlook anybody in this conference. You got to show up and play every week.
Yeah, and that's kind of the message to our kids this week is how good can we play, how efficient can we execute at a high level, playing to our standard, and that's the biggest message is, it's kind of like a faceless opponent. We're going to play ourselves. How good can we play no matter who we're playing, whether, they've won 10 ball games, 2 ball games, whatever it may be. And the thing that, when you watch film and you look at the roster for Rosman, they're very young. Yeah. They're playing some freshmen and sophomores. And, we've been in that situation before, and I've definitely been in that situation in my career where, when you play young kids, they're going to make mistakes.
Sure.
And, that's kind of the baptism by fire type deal, with young kids in high school football is they're going to line up wrong. They're going to miss tackles. They're going to go the wrong way. And but the only way you get those guys seasoned is playing time,
Right.
And so looking at film, they're young. They've had to move some guys around up front. They've not had the same starting 5 offensive linemen, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and so dealing with some injuries, I think, in those areas. But again, like you said, you can't take anybody lightly, and our biggest thing is what we expect to do every Friday night. We play to that standard. If we play to that standard, we'll be happy, and that's the big thing for us. But long road trip, got to deal with that. Playing a team on their senior night, they're going to be inspired to play for their seniors. Last home game at Rosman, and so you got to deal with all that stuff. And so our thing is got to be focused. And they got a couple kids that if you let them get out in space, they got a couple kids that can run. And you watch film and you see their kids get in space and run. And if you give them opportunities, they're able to cash in on that. And so that's the biggest thing is, capturing momentum, taking care of the football, playing physical, sound, fundamental defense. That's our goals every week, no matter who we play, and it don't change from week to week. And so that's our thing this week is how sharp can we be, how efficient can we be, and can we take care of the football? And because that, again, you talk about championship football.
Yeah.
This time of year, you can't take a step back. You always got to keep stepping forward and stepping up the ladder, and that's been our message to our kids for several weeks in a row now, of just how much better can we get this week?
That's it.
How good can we be? And that's what we're going to focus on no matter who we play.
Yeah. Coach, one thing we can look forward to, I know a lot of especially some of these older guys who have played over at Rosman back when they were still in our Smoky Mountain Conference. Of course, they came back in this year. But a lot of our players and coaches can remember playing at Rosman in the mud. For whatever reason, we've played in the mud over there so many times with rain, and maybe the drainage wasn't what it should be. But now they have artificial turf. So no more mud games at Rosman, and I think it'll be a good night for the Maroon Devils playing on that good dry track.
Yeah, one, it's a little bit easier on the laundry guy. You don't have to wash them as many times normally. But looking to play at a really nice venue. They've done a real good job.
Yeah.
Their stadium's nice. It's in a real nice setting, and it kind of looks like you're playing at the Clemson high school, because it's got that tiger paw,
Yeah.
but it's a real nice facility, and good look for Rosman, and you can tell they've took a lot of pride in that facility of how they redid kind of their stadium and stuff when they redid that field, and just excited for our kids to get to play in a nice venue at what traditionally and historically they've been some really rough, muddy, washy, rain out games. So, I can remember, I think one time somebody told me they had to change uniforms at halftime because they were so bad.
It's bad.
But, we're not going to have to change uniforms at halftime. But, we're looking forward to the opportunity of just getting to play again and play on a really nice field that, they've spent a lot of money in getting that facility ready. And its inaugural season for being on natural artificial turf, and so excited about that. Excited to see our kids go out and compete, and just give everything they got for their team and their community.
No doubt. Fans, it's going to be on the road this week at Rosman. Then next week, of course, we have those Bulldogs coming into Swain County Memorial Stadium. Join us every week right here on the Maroon Devils Network.